He looks like Kevin Durant on stilts. Woj said he was the greatest draft prospect in NBA history, and LeBron James called him an alien. Victor Wembanyama is a 7'3" French unicorn, and there's a 99.99% chance he'll be the first pick of the 2023 NBA draft. Hop aboard the hype train, and we'll tell you 10 things you didn't know about Victor Wembanyama. There have been 14 players in NBA history listed at 7'4" or higher, and only 9 of those players have played more than 100 NBA games. Victor Wembanyama is 7'3" barefoot and at least 7'4" in shoes, and that's only if he has stopped growing. But out of all the giants in NBA history, there hasn't been anyone who moved, dribbled, and shot the ball as fluidly as this 18-year-old Frenchman. Victor plays like a guard that was photoshopped to be tall, and only when you look at his highlights do you start realizing what the hype is all about. In his first 2 games on American soil, Wembanyama caught fire. Against G League Ignite and the probable second pick of the upcoming draft, Scoot Henderson, Victor averaged 36.5 points, 7.5 rebounds, and astonishing 4.5 blocks. But the agility and shot blocking is not even his biggest strength. Like Shaq would say, Vic can really shoot that thing. And against Ignite, he had hit 9 out of 18 shots from 3. Because he's 7'4" with a 9'7" standing reach, he can nearly touch the rim without jumping. There is nobody in the NBA who will be able to block his shot from deep. And when he gets to the NBA, Victor will be more than the tallest player in the league. Wemby, per his Instagram handle, also has enormous feet, which is great because he needs big feet to serve as stability anchors for his otherworldly length. And do you know what they say about men with big feet?
Big feet, large shoes.
Wembanyama wears a size 20.5 shoe, or a size 55 in Europe, and it wasn't easy for him to find shoes that fit as a teenager. Shaquille O'Neal, Bob Lanier, and Taco Fall are the only players in NBA history whose shoes would be too big for Victor. But that's not even the last freakishly big fact about Victor, because when he comes to the NBA, he'll be the only guy with a wingspan of 8 feet. In all of NBA history, there have been only 2 guys with longer arms than Wembanyama, and that's Taco Fall and Manute Bol, who were both 7 feet and 7 inches tall in shoes. But how did Wemby grow up so big? Well, it's not some kind of miracle, and it all comes down to genetics. His father, Felix, is a former track and field athlete who stands at 6'6", and Victor's mother is a 6'2" former basketball player and current youth basketball coach. She was Victor's first ever coach, but basketball wasn't the only sport Victor played. As a kid, Vic grew up playing soccer as a goalkeeper and practicing judo, until his growth spurt hit and basketball took over. And that's no surprise either, because basketball roots run deep in the Wembanyama family. Apart from his mom, Victor's older sister is also a hooper, and in 2017, she won a gold medal with France at the FIBA Under-16 European Championships. His 15-year-old brother Oscar is also a potential superstar and is currently playing for the Asvel's Under-18 team. And even though half the world now knows the Wembanyama name, Victor was a normal kid just a few years ago, apart from being abnormally tall. In fact, Wembanyama was first discovered by pure luck and coincidence. When Victor was just 10 years old, the coach of Nanterre basketball club, Michael Allard, spotted him on the bench during one of the youth games. But Allard thought he was some extremely young-looking, clean-shaven assistant coach. Due to his height, Allard didn't even consider that Victor was just a 10-year-old competing with all the other kids. And then, Victor suited up and started playing. Allard's jaw dropped to the floor, and he immediately recruited Victor to play for Nanterre's youth team. As Victor kept on growing and improving his game, it didn't take long for everybody in Nanterre to realize he might be the most talented prospect since LeBron James. Soon enough, Nanterre employed 25 different people to monitor his physical and mental progress. They bought him a custom bed, employed a caterer, and even installed a fridge in his dorm room so he would always eat 5 meals a day. However, considering that he's still quite skinny, we have a strong feeling Victor used some of those meals to feed the local pigeons. Despite his enormous frame, Wemby weighs only 210 pounds, and he'll need to bulk up to be able to withstand the physicality in the NBA. For example, his countryman Rudy Gobert, who was 7'1" with a 7'7" wingspan, was also really skinny when he first got drafted. But despite being smaller than Victor, Gobert was still 25 pounds heavier, which means Vic will need to put on at least 50 pounds to maximize his potential. And Gobert has been really important to Victor because Rudy was a big part of what made Wembanyama go viral for the first time. When Victor was only 16, he was filmed playing Gobert one-on-one. But the crazy part? Wemby was casually draining jump shots over his 7'1" countryman who was reigning Defensive Player of the Year at the time. While there are NBA players who can hit jumpers against Gobert, there is nobody in the league who can make jump shots over him, and that's why Wemby is a lock to be selected first overall. Another French player in the NBA, Nicolas Batum, first saw Wemby when he was just 14 years old, but was already standing at 6'11". And even though young prospects usually introduce themselves to NBA stars, Batum was so flabbergasted with Wemby's ability and size that he came down to the floor and introduced himself to this 14-year-old kid. Since his good friend Tony Parker had just bought a French club, Asvel, Batum immediately called Parker and said that they need to recruit Wembanyama as soon as possible. The good thing is, Parker has great negotiating skills. He probably couldn't have convinced Eva Longoria to marry him otherwise. And he managed to sign Wembanyama, who indeed played for Asvel for the 2021 season, where he averaged 9.4 points, 5.1 rebounds, and 1.8 blocks in 18.5 minutes over 16 French League games off the bench, and 6.5 points, 3.8 rebounds, and 1.9 blocks in 13 EuroLeague matches. But just like Parker's marriage to Longoria, his time with Victor didn't last, and Wemby decided to change teams, signing for the Metropolitans 92. Even though he's only 18 years old, Wemby has already broken some records that are going to be extremely hard to surpass. In the 2021 Under-19 FIBA World Cup, Victor averaged 14 points, 7.4 rebounds, and 5.7 blocks per game, leading France to a silver medal. In the history of all FIBA basketball tournaments, nobody ever averaged as many block shots per game in a single competition. But Victor is so much more than a great basketball player. He loves Star Wars and is an avid reader, with fantasy novels being his favorite. When he realized he had the talent to get drafted to the NBA, Wemby knew he had to become proficient in the English language. He basically taught himself English by watching Instagram videos and American TV shows, and is now completely fluent. Wemby can now read books in English, and he recently started reading Game of Thrones novels. He says that Tyrion Lannister is his favorite character. Victor was always a great student as well, largely thanks to his parents, who invented cruel and unusual punishment for Victor if he fell behind with his schoolwork. They made him do his schoolwork on the scorer's table in the gym while his teammates played basketball. Not being able to play pissed off Victor so much that he usually did everything he could to finish his homework ASAP, just so he could get back on the court. So when one of the 15 tallest people in NBA history loves basketball so much that not playing becomes a punishment, then you know the league is in trouble. Wembanyama is as good as advertised, and if he stays healthy, he could become one of the greatest players in the NBA real soon.